Hi everyone, I am Veronika Fritz and today I will talk about Xena's Warrior Princess Season 5 first episode. The series originally was aired between 1995 and 2001. Way ahead of its time, it was a progressive fantasy series that explored surprisingly complex social and psychological themes, all wrapped in an ancient world full of mythical creatures and a very strong female lead. And even through the final aired almost 30 years ago, the fandom is still alive and well. People are still debating the show on Reddit, and the conventions with the cast remain incredibly popular. In this YouTube series, we are diving into Season 5, probably the most controversial and least loved season of the entire show, even within the fandom itself. A lot of fans believe the series should have ended with Season 4 pre-final, The Ides of March, and honestly, I get it. The entire fourth season was building toward that moment through the prophecies and visions, and the payoff felt huge. Even today, this episode ending the ranks first place, if the question is which is the best Xena's episode. Now it's important to understand that Season 5 had a lot working against it behind the scenes. There's a good chance the show was originally planned for only 4 seasons and they continued it mainly because of the popularity and the ratings. Lucy Lawless' pregnancy also forced the writers to heavily rethink the entire season. Even Lucy herself admitted that the crew didn't really know what to do with the pregnant action hero. And the irony is beautiful here because her husband is Rob Tappert, who was one of the producers of the show. So there are jokes still, even today, that the man literally sabotaged his own series by getting Xena pregnant. The Twilight of the Gun storyline was originally intended to be in Hercules' Legendary Journeys, but reportedly Kevin Sorbo didn't want to continue the show on that long term, so that's why we saw it in the Xena, but it was also not a planned thing, they just had to put it somehow. Which, again, challenge for the writers. And why this has never been officially confirmed, many fans and industry observers believe that the beginning of the Lord of the Rings production in New Zealand also affected Xena's Season 5. Since both productions were filmed there, the rapidly growing fantasy and stunt industry started pulling experienced crew members towards the bigger project. Personally, I am happy that the series continued after the 4th season, because we would have missed out so many fantastic episodes. Okay, mostly from Season 6, but with this YouTube series I would like to prove that even Season 5 have its own charm and it deserves more credit and love than it usually gets. So let's start with the first episode, Fallen Angel. Xena Fallen Angel is the first episode of the Season 5 and it picks up exactly where 4th season episode Ides of March left us emotionally broken. The episode opens on Earth. Joxer arrives in Rome after being haunted by disturbing dreams. He's searching for Xena and Gabrielle, hoping that somehow they survived. Instead, Amelie shows him the harsh reality, both of them have been crucified and dead. The sight leaves Joxer in shock, he is devastated. Shortly afterward, Eli arrives and the three of them introduce themselves. Once the initial shock wears off, Joxer decides that whatever happens next, Xena and Gabrielle deserve a proper burial in Greece. The only problem? They are currently hanging on Roman crosses in the middle of Roman territory, surrounded by Roman soldiers. The bodies are being guarded because Rome wants them displayed as a warning to others. So yeah, not exactly a simple recovery mission. Meanwhile, somewhere beyond the mortal world, Xena and Gabrielle awaken as spirits. At the first, everything seems peaceful. They are together, happy, and free from the suffering of their final moments. A gate opens before them and angels appear and guide them toward what seems to be heaven. For a moment, it looks like they finally earned a happy ending. But suddenly, winged demons emerge from the abyss below. Among them is Callisto, who has apparently received one of the strangest promotions in television history. Before Xena can react, Gabrielle is dragged toward hell. Xena immediately goes after her, but Callisto intercepts her. The two begin fighting in midair, which would be a lot easier for Xena if she actually had wings. Callisto does, she doesn't. In an area battle, that's a serious disadvantage. Fortunately, helps arrive in the form of Archangel Michael, who intervenes before Xena gets herself killed for the second time in one day. Once in heaven, Michael explains what's happening. Gabriel has fallen into hell. The war between good and evil exists here just as much as it does on Earth. Xena immediately wants to rescue her, but Michael refuses. According to him, Xena's journey is over. She must move on and eventually be reborn into another life. The explanation introduced reincarnation into what is otherwise a heavily Christian heaven and hell storyline. To be fair, this is Xena. The show has always mixed religions, mythologies, philosophies, and historical periods in a giant blender, so nobody should be surprised at this point. Xena certainly isn't interested in debating theology. The moment she learns Gabriel is suffering, she dies straight toward hell. Michael barely manages to stop her. He explains what awaits those trapped below: eternal suffering, endless hunger. The only reliefs come from the eating the fruit of hell. The catch is that once you eat it, you slowly become a demon yourself. Xena's response is basically, "Give me wings or I'm diving again." Honestly, that's a very Xena's solution. Meanwhile in hell, Gabrielle awakens to find Callisto waiting for her. Callisto encourages her to eat. Gabrielle may be many things, but she's not stupid. She immediately realizes it's a trap and refuses. Back on Earth, Amaris switches into full warrior mode. Together, she, Jaxer, and Eli launch a rescue mission to recover the bodies from the crosses. Against the odds, they succeed. In heaven, Michael presents Xena with another option. If she truly wants to fight for Gabrielle, she must become an archangel. To do that, she must first pass through a cave, and waiting inside is the good old Darth Vader. No. Instead, the cave serves as a kind of purgatory, a place of purification. Xena enters without hesitation. She walks through the purifying fire, then quickly puts herself out in the water. When she comes out, she has wings. It's a pretty badass thing, by the way. Back on Earth, Amaris cuts a lock of Xena's hair and swears to continue the path Xena started. Then she confronts Eli and blames him for what happened. She believes his teaching about peace and non-violence changed Gabrielle, making her abandon the warrior she once was. She says their deaths are his fault. Pretty harsh. Meanwhile, hell continues to be, hell? Gabrielle's hunger becomes unbearable, but she resists. Eventually, the demons force-feed her. She begins transforming into the demon. The change is actually pretty impressive visually, and Gabrielle develops a much darker attitude almost immediately. Some of the things she says to Callisto are honestly savage.
When Xena burned your family, did you see them on fire? Did you smell their flesh sizzling?
You know what I think? You wanted them to die so you'd have a reason to be a bitch.
Before the two of them can really get into it, the archangels arrive in hell with Xena among them. During the chaos, something unexpected happens. Xena feels compassion for Callisto. Perhaps because she still feels guilt about Callisto's family, or perhaps because of the angelic love she now has, Xena begins to see her differently. She gives Callisto her light. Michael warned her about this. Anyone who gives their light away can save another soul, but must remain in hell themselves. And that's exactly what happens. Callisto is redeemed, Xena stays behind, Gabrielle is taken to heaven. Fortunately for Gabrielle, her demonic transformation wasn't fully complete yet. Heaven apparently has a very aggressive rehabilitation program involving holy water. The angels basically throw her into a pool like an East European father teaching his child how to swim. Miraculously, it works. Gabrielle returns to normal. Then she immediately starts looking for Xena. She is told that Xena saved someone from the hell and remained behind. Meanwhile in hell, Xena does extraordinarily well. As a new hire in hell, she immediately starts demonstrating leadership skills and kicks off a project that can only be described as a hostile takeover of paradise. At one point she even spits dramatically.
Paradise! Paradise! Paradise!
If that's really such an effective way of making a point, I might have to try it on The Office sometime. Back in heaven, Gabrielle encounters the redeemed Callisto and reacts about as well as you'd expect, which is to say, not so well. Callisto remembers nothing of her crimes anymore, but Gabrielle certainly does. And honestly, she has every right to be angry. Michael, however, points out a much larger problem. Xena was already a match for him without his wings. Now she has the wings, and she fully embraces her new position. The balance between heaven and hell could shift dramatically. Back on Earth, Jackson mourns over Gabrielle's body in a cave. With Roman soldiers everywhere and no safe way to transport the bodies back to Greece, he and Damaris decide to bury Xena and Gabrielle in Rome instead. Eli did not return to them. Meanwhile in heaven, a new plan begins to take shape. If Gabrielle wants to save Xena, she must become an archangel herself, which means entering the cave. This time Darth Vader is there! No, instead Gabrielle faces Callisto. Her trial is not courage, it's forgiveness, and that's much harder. Eventually she succeeds and earns her own wings. Now the stage is set, the demons attack, the angels respond, and the final confrontation begins. Xena tries everything she can think of to drag Gabrielle down to hell. Manipulation, guilt, emotional pressure, gaslighting. Honestly, Demon Xena runs through the entire toxic relationship starter pack. But Gabrielle refuses to give up on her. The battle escalates. Callisto watches everything unfold, slowly beginning to understand concepts she never truly understood in life. Love, sacrifice, forgiveness. Eventually Gabrielle manages to lose Xena apart. Also, judging by Xena's behavior, the holy bath clearly didn't fix everything. At one point she literally tastes Gabrielle.
I can smell you.
Which is one of those sentences that sounds completely insane outside the context of this episode. Meanwhile on Earth, Eli prays. He reaches out to the higher power that's guiding him throughout the series. Asking guidance, Callisto hears the prayer. She appears before Eli with angelic wings and tells him, "Love is the way, go to them." As Xena falls towards hell with Gabrielle in her arms and Michael tries to save her, Eli places his hands on Xena's and Gabrielle's foreheads back on Earth. Callisto joins him, together they pull them back. At the last possible moment, Xena and Gabrielle are restored to life. And the first thing they do when they wake up? Reach for each other's hands. Cuteness alert. They both look like and feel like people in their 30s who just survived a week-long music festival without sleeping, but they are alive, and that's what matters. Michael and Callisto appears one final time. Callisto gives Xena a mysterious gift before finally reuniting with her family. It's a beautiful ending for a character whose story could have ended in endless hatred. The last sentence of the episode is said by Gabrielle to Xena.
We're going to be together for eternity. Yeah.
You know, just roommates. Very, very committed roommates. For eternity. Sure. In the final scene, our little group finally gets a chance to sit down, relax, and catch their breaths after everything they've been through. So why does this episode work so well? Firstly, it's incredibly creative interpretation of heaven and hell. Second, it boldly mixes Christian themes with reincarnation and other spiritual traditions without caring whether those ideas belong together or not. Third, it reinforces one of the central themes of the series, the power of friendship, loyalty, forgiveness, sacrifice, love, and the lies. Most importantly, it provides a perfect conclusion to Callisto's story. That alone makes the episode worth watching. Callisto has been one of the most important recurring characters of the entire show. For years she served as Xena's greatest enemy, driven by hatred, pain, and desire for revenge. What makes this ending so satisfying is that the show doesn't simply defeat or destroy her. Instead, it allows her character to grow beyond the hatred through Xena's act of compassion and Gabrielle's willingness to forgive. Callisto finally finds the peace she had been searching for all along, and she even got the chance to reunite with her family. Her redemption is actually the emotional heart of the full episode. Visually, the episode also holds up surprisingly well. The practical effects, costumes, and the makeup still look impressive today, especially considering when it was made. And the budget probably wasn't that big. And finally, the episode leaves us with the last mystery. What exactly was the gift Callis to give to Xena? And the show do not give the answer immediately, so we need to wait it. It was also a good cliffhanger to keep you to watch the series, watch the season. So it was a good thing. I personally like the episode for first watch, for second, for 100 of course. So what do you think of Fallen Angel? Leave your comments below, and until next time, stay strong, fight for what's right, and keep your chakram sharp. Have a great day.